Tell me more about your father. You've read a lot. You didn't just fight. You were well-rounded, and you told several stories about this. There's a book. What is it called? Countries and Peoples.
Yes, from my childhood.
It is, really.
Yes.
And it went on.
The approach was the same.
Tell that story, because I think it's important for the parents listening to us to understand this. You're not just trying to create a champion. You're trying to raise a well-rounded person, a wise person, a person with depth.
Yes, you have to give the right motivation to kids with proper communication. My father was very good at this. I now realize, interacting with my own kids, how wise he was and how deeply he understood this. Because when a child is 8, 10 years old, and when they are just beginning to form as a person, it is important to have the right approach. I now understand how far-sighted my father's approach was. First, he tried not to give me anything for free. Only sometimes I could get something for free, for example, before a holiday, like Eid al-Fitr, or before school started. Father would give money, I'd go buy clothes at the market for back to school, that kind of thing, you know? And at other times, he always told me, well, if you want it, you need to earn it. You want me to give you money just like that? There would be some work around the house and so on that I had to do. And I knew that encouragement would always be there. My father always had this kind of approach. He set a very strong personal example, very strong. And I really learned a lot from him. Took a lot. And then, as you mentioned, there was the book Countries and Peoples. Someone gave it to him as a gift. My father read through it, and he realized that it was perfect for me. For a child who was 10, 11, maybe 12 at the time. That book was part of my life for about 2 or 3 years, something like that.
It was about 193 countries. Their geography, history, all the details.
For each country, it describes its geographical location, which countries it bordered, its major rivers, mountains, cities, history, economy, finances. Just brief information about every country. My father said, "You'll tell me about each country and I'll give you money for it." And I thought, all right. I knew this was like my own little capital, just sitting there waiting for me. All I had to do was come, take that book, read it, understand it. Then my father would take the book and say, "Now, tell me what you read." And he would check. He would look through it. The countries were arranged alphabetically. A for Andorra, Angola, and so on. B for Belgium, Brazil, and so on. Everything went in alphabetical order. I started from A and read them all, straight to the very end. Like every single time, when I needed the money, I did that. And for example, I go over the first 40 countries, he'd check a box, and then I continued. That's how my father would test me. Let's just say that my knowledge of geography comes from back then.
Did you realize how big the world was?
No.
As a child, you don't understand?
At that time, I didn't understand. But since then, I've had this desire to travel. I really wanted to travel, visit different countries, see wonders of the world, the Colosseum, the pyramids. But all of this is from childhood, from what I read and wrote. It wasn't just about reading, I also had to rewrite it. I had to write it down. I always wrote down what I read. And actually, this is very good advice for parents, you know. They can use this with their children too. They can tell them to sit down and copy books by hand. First of all, eyesight improves, reading improves, writing, how you write improves, your handwriting, and it stays with you when you read and write. It really develops a child. Not only I believe that, I actually do advise parents to motivate their kids this way. You can simply create some kind of challenge that children benefit from and reward them for it after it is done. This really helps develop a child's mind.
I actually saw advice from the great writers who said that they remembered doing the same thing when they were young. When they first started writing, they just simply copied other legendary writers. You read their work and then you type it out yourself. And you start absorbing that style into your bloodstream.
Well, it needs to be done in childhood.
Sure.
When the child is ready to learn and his mind is open, let's say, as a metaphor, when his table is clean, not occupied with clutter, then, as a father, you can help them place all the right things on the table in their proper place. Let's say, put the food in one place, flowers in another, something like that. It is important. That's why I believe I was very lucky. My father did the right thing. He provided me with the right kind of information. And I learned a lot just from being around him. I learned so much just from his presence. He was there at home, and then we also went to competitions. He was always there at trainings and at camps, so I absorbed a lot from him. And it was interesting for me too. Of course, when you're a teenager, sometimes you're tired, sometimes you want to break free. All of that was there. But my father had the right approach. He influenced me a lot and in the right way.
And there's the physical component too of hard work. There's a story you told about the time he made you dig a big hole just because it was difficult. There's wisdom in that. That you just need to work, you need to stay busy all the time.
These were training camps from 2005 to 2007. In the summer, we went to the mountains. There was a children's camp there, an old Soviet-style pioneer camp, where we stayed doing our runs in the forest. Together, we built a small training area there with a rope, a punching bag, a pull-up bar. We did sprints there, we pulled resistance bands. After running in the mountains, we would come back and work there. There were almost no mats. We built the base ourselves. It had a dining room on the first floor and an attic space where we slept. We would come downstairs, eat, go outside, train in that little sports area, then run in the forest. It was somewhere around 1,200 meters above sea level, a conifer forest. We spent the whole summer there. There we'd train in the morning, then there was nothing to do all day. And in the evening we had training sessions again. But during the day, so we wouldn't be busy with unnecessary things, my father sometimes gave us work. And we'd ask, why are we digging this pit? He'd say, well, people used to use it like a refrigerator. When you dig 2 or 3 meters down, it is cold inside. You can put milk there, cheese, things like that, so the food does not go bad. And we were like, okay, but do we really need these refrigerators every day? So in that sense, this was his approach back then. He always had this kind of unique approach.
Well, what's the philosophy here? That you got to be busy all the time, working hard, doing something difficult?
Yes, it's very dangerous to give a child free time in adolescence. They should always be busy, learning new information, improving, acquiring new skills. A person should always be busy. When you're 16, well, what can be on your mind? You should constantly develop and improve. And by this time, you should already, I believe, have decided what you want to become. You should already be investing in what you want to turn into